Hi, and welcome to a Spotlight special where we shine a light on entrepreneurs, SMEs, and innovators. I'm Maxine Crow, your host, and I am today delighted to reintroduce Jason Roberts, CEO and founder of Kaleida. So, Jason is blazing a trail in across industry, multiple industries now, actually, and we'll come on to that in the space of supplier diversity. So, Jason, I'm so excited that you're here, and
Thank
I
you.
know, I think when we spoke last it was back end of it was last year, so I'm sure there's been a lot that's happening. So for our audience that are not familiar with you, please just introduce yourself and tell us about Kaleida.
Yeah, well, Maxine, thanks so much for having me here again. It's great to speak to your audience. I think what's great is that we all have a story to tell, and I'm really privileged to be here to be able to share my story. For those who don't know who I am, I'm Jason, founder of Cloud International, and we are a fully inclusive B2B marketplace for tenders. However, the backstory is really important because I was thinking about how I got to where I am, or why I am where I am. I think probably the biggest question to answer. And well, the background is I spent 23 years or so working within financial services. And that was 11 years working with investment banks. I worked my way up from being a cleaner at an investment bank to ultimately running a global team at JP Morgan, where I was there for 5 years. And then I moved from investment bank technology teams to actually selling technology back to banks, asset managers, and hedge funds. And I found two real tough core experiences in my time in sales. And that was that the sales process is so tough. It's so difficult for anyone, any founder, any startup, any business owner trying to do sales. It's just almost an impossible task. You need to have certain traits to get through the sales process, right? When you're trying to run a sales process. But getting access to buyers, is really difficult. Your emails aren't returned. Your phone calls go unreturned. No one connects to you on LinkedIn. You try to sell and connect on LinkedIn. No one buys. It's just really difficult and really tough. And I found myself making about 30 to 40, maybe 50 calls per day, every day, about 12,000 phone calls a year to build a pipeline, right? And the pipeline is really important to any sales professional, any business founder. If you have no activity, if you have no pipeline, then you simply won't be able to sustain a business because the business will fail. It won't have enough money being generated. But whilst that was the first part of it being difficult, the second part was even more interesting. Now, I stand at 6'5" and a black male. And whenever I went into those rooms within the financial services sector to sell to those organizations, there was very little to no representation at all in those rooms. There was certainly no one who was black and a senior exec running the sales process, no women owning that sales process from a senior position. And so that lack of representation, I felt created an unconscious bias in the sales process that impacted much of my outcomes. Now, when you have a great product, a good personality, a good pair of shoes on, and a good price, what else can stop you from competing fairly outside of someone's unconscious bias? And so, with a view on how difficult it is to get into the sales rooms, with an understanding of how bias can impact, be it conscious or unconscious, can impact women, those who are visibly disabled or LGBTQ plus, ethnic minorities, I wanted to create a platform that would solve that problem in a different way to what LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter did from a social platform. So I built the Kaleida platform. It's a fully inclusive B2B marketplace for tenders. And essentially, we focus on connecting corporate organizations to diverse suppliers. We help corporates find, identify, assess, and then invite diverse-owned businesses to participate in tenders. And on the other hand, we help the actual diverse supplier and SMEs get access to these corporates that they probably will struggle to get access to. And that's my journey in a bit of a nutshell, an introduction, and the Kaleida platform.
Thank you, Jason. And when you were talking about it's the corporates having the access to the SMEs and diverse suppliers, I know, coming from my own corporate background, just how difficult it is, especially when a client has a strategy of being local and regional. And you're faced with having show my age now. You're faced with having spreadsheets which just has data. It's just a name of a company. It's just a phone number, and I feel that what you've done in terms of connecting and building those relationships with the corporates then helps us as sourcing or procurement professionals to get closer then to those SMEs. But tell us some of the challenges that are faced really with the SMEs, and I want to have a discussion about this because
Yeah.
it's really important to just understand the power of the platform from both sides, not just for the corporate, but also for that diverse supplier, that SME.
Okay. So if you think about the thing, as we probably all know, called ESG, environmental social governance. And what we do is serve the S component of ESG, that social value, that social piece, that social value. A lot of corporate organizations today want to work with more diverse suppliers to help, I guess, spread the wealth that's out there to marginalized communities. But their challenges are twofold. There are multiple groups and identities of groups of people who need support and help, who experience marginalization. There's ethnic minorities. You've got women founders, those who are LGBTQ plus, those who are neurodivergent perhaps as well, disabled and veterans. Then you've got social enterprises. You've got some consideration for age bias as well. When you're one of those things, okay, or maybe a cross intersectionality of multiple of those things, so a black, disabled, LGBTQ plus woman, your barriers to entry are even more difficult, even greater. And so the corporates have an opportunity to either join a non-governmental organization, right? An organization called an advocacy group that supports one specific identity. But that means that where a corporate supports just one diverse identity, they are essentially being exclusive to that one identity, right? So if an organization supports, let's just say, Disability Inc., for example, right? They're creating access to opportunities for those who are disabled, but they're not being as accessible to those who are maybe black and able-bodied or woman and able-bodied, for example. And so they don't have to make a decision. Do they join multiple groups? Now, when they do join 6 of those communities that I mentioned, imagine trying to run a tender process for those 6 communities. You got to send out 6 emails. Okay. Then you got to schedule 6 phone calls with each representative of those communities to speak about what it is that you're trying to buy. Let's say it's marketing services, for example. Then you're answering questions from the advocacy group. The advocacy group then goes out to the suppliers within their network and try to find suppliers that can meet the requirements or the criteria of that tender. Then they all send back to that buyer, 2 or 3 different suppliers that meet the criteria. Now you've got the buyer receiving an email from the LGBTQ community, access to a database from the women community, maybe a spreadsheet from another community. And it's how do you compare that data in a period of time that is quick and efficient and really allows you to do what a supply diversity program is designed to do, which is to create access to opportunity and spend money. Now, if you can't do that quickly, your program will suffer. And at the end of it, the diverse suppliers who are meant to be the beneficiaries of that revenue that's earned, and the corporate who's meant to benefit from the innovation and diversity of thought, all that is lost. That process I described can take probably between 4 to 6 weeks to complete. Then you have to run a tender. It's just impossible to do. And that's why businesses are choosing to work with probably just one group and not all 6. And what we've done with the Kaleida platform is built a platform that allows you to find, identify, assess, and invite all diverse suppliers, irrespective of their diverse identity, within 10 seconds. And that's really the key benefit that we have as a platform. It's being fully inclusive. It's allowing people to not have to prioritize an identity where there is a cross-intersectional diverse identity, and giving them speed of access to when opportunities are live in the platform.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. And sometimes when people kind of hear of a name and a concept, and they kind of think, well, how's that going to benefit me? So you've explained it from the corporate perspective absolutely amazingly well.
Yeah.
Now let's flip the coin. And now let's talk about the challenges with the actual SMEs and the diverse suppliers. And I mean, if I just start with my experience, so I'm part of Kaleida, and it's the beginning of the process, when you actually see the opportunity. So just take it from there in terms of once that opportunity is seen from the
Yeah.
diverse
So
supplier perspective.
okay, so we have two workflows on the platform because we get both public and private sector. Remember, our measure of success is creating as much access to opportunity as possible. So we probably have about 1,800 tenders live on the platform today. We've had over 12,000, I think it is, year to date, and over 300, I think, and 310 billion pounds of value of opportunities in the platform year to date. So when an opportunity is seen on the platform, two things happen. First of all, if it matches your sector, so you tag your business to HR consultancy or D&I consultancy, where the buyer tags that opportunity to that same sector, you get a match, just like a dating app, right? I want someone who's X tall, this complexion, and male or female. And when there is a match, you get an alert to say that there's a match between you and a potential partner. The same thing with Kaleida. It works on the same premise. In actual fact, quite entertainingly, someone said that we're Tinder for tenders, which I thought was quite funny. Not
It's quite
necessarily how I would
catchy.
describe our business, but it works on the same premise. You know, you get matched, and then you can see you can apply to some organization. So
Mm,
it's very similar to apply to an opportunity. You simply will flag that you want to apply to the tender, and then that will send a flag message to the actual buyer themselves. The challenge that we've seen is a lot of the big value tenders, most SMEs can't really apply to them because they can't service those tenders. And so we're seeing a lot of activity around opportunities that are under, say, £500,000 in annual value.
mm,
That's really where there's the opportunities. That's where there's really the activity that happens. And the larger ones, you kind of hope to raise a flag to say, hey, we're interested. But what you want is you need the corporate to have a program that will say, fine, you are capable, you've got competency that can deliver this solution, but not at the scale that we need. So we're going to go with a big supplier, and we're going to cut off 90% to the big supplier and give you 10% when you guys work together. And then we're going to encourage that. And the big organization will take you under their wing and mentor you and help you get better. You get 100 grand worth of revenue, and they get 900,000 for their efforts, whilst also doing the right thing. So
yeah.
I guess to your question, for the corporates, it's creating the access that they have and trying to find a way to work with suppliers for large opportunities. And then the user experience from the supplier perspective is it's easy to apply to the opportunity and put your best foot forward. Again, remember, we want to get you access to that room. We want to help you get into that room so you can compete, because buyers, they do buy on competency, not on diversity. So you've got to be good.
Mm. Yeah, that's so true. And just another thing that I've just learned with my own Collider journey is that once you've got the access, then there's all the different portals that the supplier would need to then apply to. So I know that there was some premise around, okay, once we've access, we've expressed interest, and oh, that's it. But just talk about that next stage, because what people don't realize is that if there's a region that's offering an opportunity, they'll have their own purchasing platform and portal
Yeah.
that provide that SME then has to apply on for the
Yeah.
opportunity itself.
Well, so I think you have to take it back a bit further, right, to understand the challenges that suppliers have in the very beginning, which is
Mm,
I provide a marketing service. I can provide marketing services to anyone, right, across maybe a particular sector, where any business up and down the UK, across Europe, but I cannot register with every single portal out there. So I need to have a golden source of data that tells me where that particular opportunity is at that time. Then proactively
yeah,
or reactively, should I say, you can then go and register at on that platform and then access the opportunity and apply for it. Without doing that work, you've got to spend months perhaps registering proactively, perhaps in the hope of getting a match.
yeah,
So what we've done
yeah,
is we've taken a
yeah,
bit of that legwork out of the process by creating a tool that disseminates all that information, collects all that data from all over the place, and then disseminates it to you in one screen, in one way you can easily understand it, that you're familiar with, and then you can register as per the process, irrespective of Kaleida. And we take Kaleida out of this, out of it for the moment. A supplier still has to go through that process, whether Kaleida exists or not. You have to go and make phone calls. You have to go and find opportunity. You have to register to compete. There's no way around that. We've tried to take the legwork away by making it easy to know when there's something that matches your profile and give you that speed of access that you don't miss anything. And we're sending out probably close to 500 alerts per day to our supplier network of opportunities that meet the sector specification they've tagged themselves to.
Yeah. I'm all pro Kaleida, and it works very, very well. And transitioning from consulting in FM to the education e-learning space, there's stuff coming through all the time. It's actually like being in the sweet shop, and you've got your big jars with all the cola cubes and all the rhubarb and custard, and you're just like, it's for us as diverse suppliers to actually choose what meets our values and our own areas of expertise, and just go for it. That's the key, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Well, by the way, I was a strawberry bomb kind of guy. Or was it raspberry? Yeah, strawberry bomb kind of guy. So. But look, here's a really interesting point for your audience, right, Maxine? When you're a diverse supplier, it's really tough out there. We can't complain when we have an opportunity that, we got to now complete a form as well, because that then becomes an unfair expectation, should we say. So yeah, there is still work to be done. And without Kaleida, it's fine. Make 12,000 phone calls a year and try to find that buyer, or via the platform, and maybe other tools out there as well, be alerted in real time to something that matches. And at least then you can decide, is this one that we can go for or have a discussion with? Look, I spent 12, 13 years in sales, and what you have to be successful is a pipeline where you're going to lose 80% of the time, right? So if you're only chasing 10 leads all year, you're probably going to lose and not hit your sales target because you'd like to close only 2. Now, our sales cycle is 12 to 18 months, right? So maybe 24 months in some cases. So people who we're selling to now, we've been speaking to for nearly 2 years. And so from that perspective, understanding the fundamentals of building a sales pipeline that you take through a sales funnel is crucial to a founder's success. And so they either hire someone who is a salesperson who understands the premise of that, or they develop the skill sets themselves that can help them navigate that building and construction process of a pipeline that they feed into a sales funnel.
Thanks for that. Let's just talk about growth and scaling. So as an entrepreneur, what strategies are you using now to grow and scale? You've talked about the sales funnel and the pipeline. What else are you doing to grow Kaleida? And then we'll move on to the juicy stuff and hear about what's been happening in your world.
Yeah, a lot of the key fundamentals that I've developed over time due to my previous career in sales is the importance of building partnerships and networks of people. I'm extremely busy and active all over LinkedIn. I'm in rooms all the time. It's gotten to the point where I've evangelized so much about Kaleida that people now do it for me. And you need to have friends in rooms that you're not in. And so I speak a lot about what Kaleida is. I'm consistent about what it is. The effort involved is, I don't have any let up on that at all. And so the consistency of my actions have allowed me to grow the business where people now know about us and I've not even spoken to them before. And so I find that what we do as a business is we are speaking to all the top organizations in the world, the top, FTSE 100, S&P 500. They're actually contacting us because they've heard about us through conversations with peers. And so that's really good for us in the business. But I think anyone can achieve that where they are committed to providing an excellent service, right? If you think about it, and sometimes competition can prevent people from understanding this, but if you walk down the bread aisle of any supermarket, you're going to find loads and loads and loads of different loaves of bread. It is just bread
Mm-hmm.
and water and flour for the most part, right? But there's so many
Mm.
different brands, so we can't be afraid of competition. And instead, I embrace it to the point where our our allies speak up for us in those rooms. So as an
Yeah.
approach to building the business, it really is just being really active in these rooms, really active on social media, being very consistent. I probably have maybe 50 meetings a week, perhaps, probably just pitching and presenting. But for the most
Yeah.
part, as a strategy, I actually never sell. I only ever ask
Yeah.
questions, because by asking questions and consulting, you find that you are more useful to people who will eventually buy your service. And that's really what's happened across
Yeah.
the social value, the ESG procurement perhaps departments, that we've become known as a resource that people can turn to for guidance on how to deliver a social value um, supply diversity program. And I think that's what's endeared
Yeah.
us to others, that have allowed us to grow the way that we are.
Yeah. That's absolutely amazing. And so talk to us now. So it's been a few months since we've caught up actually. So
Yeah.
when we last caught up, you had some initiatives that were in the pipeline for Kaleida. So what's happened, and what can we expect, and what's new?
So here's the interesting thing is I still am vulnerable to budget cuts and to the impact that wars have had on business budget cuts and people leaving organizations when they're about to sign a contract. There's no difference for me from that perspective. But what's been great
Yeah.
is I'm expecting a decision from, I think, 5 or 6 companies in the next 3 weeks. And these are large
Yeah.
global international organizations that are keen to kick off their supply diversity program. We've been speaking to them for about 12 months or so, maybe more in some cases.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting now for them to get that final bit of sign off internally, where we're able to move forward and announce our successes. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited by, first of all, our clients who have renewed with us for another year because they see our vision and believe in what we're doing. For the
Hmm.
evangelism that they've done themselves across different rooms in different communities to help corporates understand who we are, but also for those businesses that have been looking at launching a supply diversity program, that have evaluated us and are now close to making decisions to onboard us. And so it's been a combination of running events that evangelize about supply diversity, that opens us up to suppliers, but also
Yeah.
buyers get wind of that as well. And want to join those networking events, want to join the opportunity to kind of listen to diverse suppliers, and then obviously discuss with
Yeah.
me how they can launch and expand their existing supply diversity programs.
Yeah. That's really brilliant. Do you have anything that's up and coming that people can actually look out for, that we can socialize for you?
Yeah, definitely. So at the end of we were going to do it this month. We've moved the date towards the end of
Hmm.
next month. We're running
Hmm.
a disabled owned networking event. Virtual event where I will be speaking to
Yeah.
two. We got 2 confirmed, maybe 3, and a corporate organization will be on the panel, where we want to hear this time
Yeah.
from what is it like to be a disabled um, business owner, what challenges do they face, and why is supply diversity important for them? Because I talked about at the beginning about marginalization, right? And if you're visibly disabled, some people don't want to offend you, so they don't want to work with you because they don't know how to engage with you,
Yeah.
how to look at you, how
Yeah.
to talk to you. So they tend to try to avoid you. But in that avoidance actually becomes a real financial risk for the supplier who's just trying to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be listening to these disabled founders talk about their business whilst explaining what is difficult about supply diversity. So if anyone would like to join us on that virtual event, the way I run these events are very interesting. We don't do it via a webinar format because webinar formats are not engaging. Instead,
Mm.
we do it via a live Zoom call where anyone in the audience can ask the panel questions and engage with me as well. So I probably would advise to follow us on LinkedIn, where we'll be announcing the date shortly, or register to the mailing list on the website, where you can then be announced as well. You'll get the announcement that there is when the event is going live. I think it's the 21st of June, if I remember correctly, at 11 o'clock. But
Yeah.
I'm to confirm that.
Okay. Share the dates, and we'll make
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
it's socialized to the audience.
yeah.
So just with all the hype, so just moving on to some technologies now. So with rapid pace of technology and advancements, have you been capitalizing on that? And how are you a pro or on the fence, or
For AI.
tell us your views and how for AI and how you feel that might impact on Kaleida.
So the thing about supply diversity and what I've heard in the rooms that yesterday I was presented to a international supermarket, and at the end of the conversation in the room, the gentleman said that, Jason, this is a hearts and minds project or program. You can't introduce an AI to the process. I've seen it done, but I've seen it done badly. Because what some organizations use AI for is to scrape the internet, right? To try to find diverse suppliers. So here's an example. Imagine AI scrapes my Facebook profile where it says Jason Roberts, founder of a business. The AI says Jason's black, right? And it says that he's a
Mm,
founder because he can read. The AI reads the headings, etc. But I'm at my
yeah,
daughter's birthday holding a rainbow, right? Maybe it's a rainbow flag because it's her birthday and we're having a great time. And then AI says this is a black LGBTQ plus founder. Who has the right to publish my record, right, based on scraped data that I am a black LGBTQ plus founder? Or what if you appear to be female but don't identify as female? So we've got to be very, very
yeah,
careful how AI is used when it's scraping data to identify a diverse supplier. People try to use it to get that data quickly, but it is inaccurate and no one has signed off
mm,
on that data. You want the case, you want so to your question, there's two things. I'm against AI from a supply diversity perspective because I think it compromises the integrity of an individual. The data should be
yeah,
validated by the individual and it should be submitted by the individual and not scraped and utilized. From a procurement perspective, I'm yet to see how AI can replace or enhance the experience or the buying decision that is fundamentally based on a hearts and minds feeling. So that, from my
mm,
perspective, that's kind of like how I assume AI really probably can't support the procurement division from a supply diversity perspective. Um,
mm.
we don't
Uh,
use it. Yeah, go on. Sorry, that's yeah,
no, no. I was going to say it's a really good point, and I've been in situations where you and I'm a pro AI, pro technology. Also, there has to be that human element. I can't see how you're going to 100% get rid of a human intervention or engagement, especially
yeah,
you're right about the decision making. And I've been in situations where yes, we've done a tender, and it's come down to the personalities of the client and the supplier that have made the decision.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, can AI be used to read a tender application and make a decision? It's got to come down to an individual. And there's a lady I've become really good professional friends with. She's a CEO of a global
Mm,
organization, and what she
mm,
said was interesting in the meeting that we had once. She said, "Jason, we've removed the need to have a CV on a resume. Sorry, have a degree, sorry, on your resume." And what it's done is it's
mhm.
opened them up to much more talented individuals out there that may be able to really add value to the organization, right? And I look at it the same way. Sometimes there are barriers to things that stop you from identifying and discovering real good talent that a human would
Yeah.
make because we make decisions based on senses and information that we've had before and past experiences. The other thing is really
Mm,
interesting, right? The other thing is really interesting. You have to ask yourself the question, well, what is the basis of information that AI is making a decision on? And this is why I support what Elon Musk did with X or Twitter, now X.
mm,
Because what he said
mm,
was, if you have a source of global information and input and points of views that is censored, AI can only learn a censored, biased point of view, right? So you have to open it up to everyone where it can then assess everyone. So and get a
Yeah.
balanced perspective. And therefore, if I apply the same logic to AI with Kaleida or AI with procurement or AI with supply diversity, what is that AI
Mm.
based on? Is it a open source bit of information, or is the information biased? Because if the information is biased, you're going to get biased outcomes.
That's so true. That's so true. I
Yeah.
do actually agree with you. Um, so let's just delve a bit now into as an entrepreneur, sort of 15 meetings, calls. How are you approaching the work life balance? I always ask this question. I get a different answer every time for every guest.
Well, no, it's interesting for me because I'm so committed to the outcome that if I need a break, I'll take a break because I know that the break will benefit the outcome, right? So I
Yeah.
work extensively, and particularly when I first started building the business. Hear this right. Go back to when I launched in 2020. I was probably working close to 15, 16 hours a day, and it was every day. It was relentless. Weekends, Christmas, holiday, everything. I was constantly working. But what I found was I needed a way to not burn out to allow me to achieve my purpose. And so
Mm.
I may block out a morning, right? The sun's up pretty early right now. I might block out the morning and go and play golf at 6:30 in the morning, be home by
Mm.
9:30, and I can have a full day. But I've given myself a bit of a workout and I give myself that mental space to breathe. Um, but also, and this is interesting for me, right? Is I've got a goal in mind. I live my life in reverse. So I say, Jay, where do you want to get to, right? And by when? And then we work backwards.
Mm.
So I want to retire, for example, at a particular age. Okay. I won't share the age, but
Mm-hmm.
at a particular age. So now I'm like, if I want to
Mm.
retire at a certain age, what do I need to do to get to that point? Because a lot of the times people are focused on living and working until they're 66 or 67, or when the government changed it to 68 without a
It's
plan.
70. Is it 75?
No, I think no. So for men right now, I think it's 66, going to be 67. I think women are still at 65,
Okay.
right? I think that's what it is at the moment. But can you imagine yourselves working at 67 years old, still slugging it out, trying to make ends meet? And that's no way to live a life. So I am prepared. I guess to answer your question, I'm prepared to put in the
Mm.
hard miles now in order to achieve the goal that I want to have for me and my family, my daughters and my wife. But to do that,
Yeah.
I have to put myself in the best possible condition to do the hours and the work that's required. Bear in mind, look, I'm a small entrepreneur as well, running a really big profile business. Um,
Yeah.
I've got to be sharp, but I need to make sure that my mind is right. And then if I need to take a day off, I take it off now without any ill feeling. I feel
Yeah.
that I need to have my mental well-being maintained in order for me to perform. Now, just going back when I was in work, and I was thinking about it when I was an employee. I was a guy
Mm.
who had, elevated benefits. I had probably 5, maybe 6 weeks paid time off or holidays um, per year given to me, and
Yeah.
I'd probably take about 11 days, maybe 12 days. Never took a day off sick because I gave everything to the company, and that's not healthy, really. You kind of need to make sure you find some time for yourself. And I always recommend
Yeah.
that those people who want to work hard, definitely you must work hard. There is no excuse for working hard, and you can't look back at your life and say, "I wish I worked a bit harder then." But you
Mm.
want to be able to give yourself the tools or the reprieve to help you recompose, refuel your engine, um, so you can go on again. And so that's what I do. I take time off when I need it, and I work bloody hard
Yeah.
when I have to.
Yeah. That's some great advice there. Speaking of advice, what's the best piece of advice that you've had since you started Collider?
Be fearless. Maxine, do you know what fear does to you? It holds you back. It makes you,
Paralyzed.
yeah, it paralyzes. Sorry, I asked you the question,
Mm.
didn't I? Yeah. You're right, it
Oh, you
paralyzes
asked
you.
me. You asked me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I answered it. You know, but you're right, it
It's
paralyzes you.
okay.
Yeah, fear holds you back. Fear makes you tentative. Fear will stop you from doing the things that you want to do because of doubt. Fear will restrict your ambitions. Fear will tell you, no, don't do it. You can't do it. And I think once you unlock that the repercussions of being wrong or making a mistake is that you simply learn a lesson, then the
Mm,
potential is endless. Bear in mind, right? I've built this platform. My corporate background is sales. I know nothing about procurement. I'm a black man that's
mm,
had experience with injustices and discrimination and prejudice and bias, but I don't know what it's like to be
mm,
an LGBTQ plus person or a woman who experiences sexism or marginalization because of her gender. But if I let that stop me from building a platform that can represent everyone with the discrimination that they experience and the marginalization that they have, if I was fearful about it, I wouldn't be where I was today. I wouldn't pick up the phone and call, a John Lewis or Coventry Building Society, or get a phone call from
mm,
Coca-Cola who wants to speak to us and say, how can you help us in South America? We wouldn't be having these conversations if I allowed fear
yeah.
to paralyze me. So the best advice I've been given, and I certainly pass it on to everyone else, is there's something that you're thinking about doing, but you're scared of it. So what? It's you have to move past that, because to fail is the first attempt in learning. That's what they say. And if you fail, so
Mm,
what? You simply get up, dust yourself off, and you're better for it. I think you learn more lessons in
mm.
failure than you do in success. And so to be fearless allows you to embrace any failure that accompanies it, because the success is followed shortly after.
Yeah, there is a saying about if you're thinking about something and you have an idea, testing it out, just fail fast and move on, and don't get one of the guests I had on before was just say just fail fast, don't
Yeah.
get hung up about it, and
Yeah, you
just
have to fail
move on
fast
to
because
the
it
move
allows
on
you,
to the
it
next
allows
thing.
yeah, it allows you to move on quickly. Sometimes when you're in sales, you're trying to sell to someone who has no interest in buying from you at all, but you keep pushing it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it. And in actual fact, you've got to read between the lines and say, actually, this is a deal I'm never going to get. So to fail fast in that instance says, okay, Mr. Buyer, right, or Mrs. Buyer, thank you very much, and I'll move on. So yeah, you have to learn to fail fast and move on. And look, I developed it. I kind of created this mindset of called CPR:
Mm,
consistency, persistence, and resilience. And so you've got to demonstrate CPR. You've got to be consistent in your approach to building a pipeline, to speaking to clients, to building a business, to writing content on social media, to promoting your brand. You've got to be
mm,
persistent, that when they don't answer the phone, you'll call them again and you'll call them again and you'll send another email, because you want to get through to them and see if you can pitch. But when you get told
mm,
no 1,000 times, and I've been told no 200 times in a week, if I'm making 50 calls a day, I might get 50 yeses, but I might get 200 no's. You've got to be resilient, and you've
yeah.
got to build the tools, develop the tools to be resilient, to overcome um, being disappointed and let down. So, yeah.
Did that resilience and the CPR, did that come straight away, or was that purely something that you transferred over from your sales into now, because you'll be pitching now more than ever as
Yeah.
an entrepreneur? So if for someone that's kind of on that journey, what how would you recommend they start building CPR basically? What's the sort of things that they can do today?
They've got to ask themselves if they're hungry, right? It's really important. Hunger is the most powerful fuel out there, because hunger will get you on the phone all the time. I come from a very poor background where we had nothing, right? My mum tried the best she could to raise us in as best conditions as she could, but growing up in a council house in South London, it wasn't easy. I developed hunger from there. And so I can't teach you hunger. I can teach you how to
Mm,
close a deal. I can teach you how to build a pipeline. I can teach you how to make a phone call and what to say and the questions to ask. But I can't teach hunger. You've got to have that within yourself. And if you don't have hunger within yourself, it's probably best you get a day job, because hunger is the thing that makes me get up and make that phone call. And after disappointment, continue to post on content. Hunger is what makes me write posts when I've got nothing to say, but I've got to be seen. And that's what allows me to be
yeah,
consistent. So hunger is the fuel that really fuels my fire, dare I say, um,
yeah.
and allows me to kind of get through the difficult times. Because yes, I have a goal in mind, but I've also been at the really, the social, socially, social economically, like the lowest end of the pile, and didn't like it
Yeah.
there. So hunger is a tool.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I know that in terms of books and podcasts and different resources, you basically learn and have mentors. What's the most recent mentoring or learning or coaching that you can share with our audience that you've received to propel you
So
forward?
yeah, so I'm really bad at taking advice. I'm really stubborn.
Are you?
I'm really.
I didn't realize. I didn't
You
realize.
wouldn't
You
know,
always
right?
listen to me when I send you
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
I
I'm
wouldn't
really
know
head,
it.
right, but I'm really headstrong. But you've got to put yourself in rooms where people are better than you. And what recently I've become an extended partner, or I guess partner might be the right word, for the BITC, the business in the community, and with a focus on the Coventry region or city.
Mm.
And that organization really focuses on helping communities be better. And it's got some really powerful, influential people who have the means through their business to be able to influence that local community in terms of, we need to help this church get a roof. We need to help this community center get a playground. We need to help that community center with a food hall or the community supermarket get food from donors that can support local communities who have very small budgets. And in those rooms, I've been sat with CEOs of global organizations, FTSE 100 organizations. And I remember, and I won't say names for the sake of privacy,
No,
but
no.
recently was on the train. We got a train back down to London, and I sat next to the CEO of this global organization. Again, I won't give any clues as to who it is, but just think top tier organization. And he began to just teach me some stuff. He gave me some advice around around a tool I should listen to in the mornings to kind of help get my mind right, and gave me some ways to kind of deal with things like, well, does it really matter? Like, almost don't take it to heart. It's not personal. It's just business. And so in those conversation arenas, I'm able to take that advice on board and really just listen to others around how they do it. This individual's got just such a calm demeanor about him. He's so composed. And I'm quite fiery. I'm kind of quite out there, quite upbeat. But sometimes I've got to learn to maybe dial the energy down slightly. And so I look at these individuals and how they operate. I love operators. I love seeing how they operate, how they manage a room, how they manage an organization, how they manage and mobilize people to do what they want. And those are,
Yeah.
I'm always taking in lessons. It might not be from someone directly giving me the lesson, but I certainly am eager to watch people operate and be better so I can improve myself. And we all have to know how we learn, right? Some people like to be book smart. Some people like to be practical. I learn on the job and in that practical environment. And that's how I learn. And so I focus myself and try and be around those right people who can add that value to me and make me better and stronger.
Mm. That's some really good pointers there that you've shared, and it's okay to learn in different ways, because we're all unique in what we do and what we want to achieve. So, Jason, how can people contact you, and are there any final words of wisdom and encouragement for our audience?
Well, to contact me, I'd love to be connected with you on LinkedIn. I'd like to post on there and read people's content and add value where I can, whether it be controversial or, supporting people's activities. I'd quite like to see people's content where they add value to others as well, as opposed to, here's my goldfish playing the violin. It doesn't add any value, but it's entertaining. So you see it all on these platforms. So connect with me on LinkedIn. That'd be fantastic.
It's just made me.
That's tickled you, hasn't it?
Just to hear it, I'm very visual, so I could just It does.
But that's the thing, right?
Nuts.
If you think about social media, people are always trying to grow their companies and they want to talk about what they're selling, but those posts go nowhere, and so they struggle to get traction on content. But then someone says, "Hey, here's my goldfish playing an orchestra," and everyone loves it, and it goes viral, and they get seen. So Yeah, I'd love to connect with anyone on LinkedIn. Please do connect to me. And if you're interested in joining the Kaleida platform, register on there, and we'll see if we can give you guys a trial as well, a free trial for a month, so you can at least benefit from the platform for a while and see if it adds some value to your lives. But I think what's critical is that everyone has to know what they're good at, and they have to be honest with themselves. And where they have weaknesses or areas of improvement, how we used to call it back in the corporate days, is that you got to seek to try to grow that area so you can be as well-rounded as possible. What I love is the guy who was the founder of Gymshark. What he did was he realized after running the business out of his garage that he wasn't really a CEO. The business was getting too big, and he hired a CEO to run the business for 2 years. And in those 2 years, he then assigned himself, I think, 3-month segments across different parts of the business. So we could see how packaging worked, how marketing worked, how HR worked. And he became a much better founder as a result of that experience. So certainly I advise to people to go out there and get the experience that they need, get the exposure that they need to help them grow and develop themselves. The second thing is this. We live in a world today of social media where your iPhone will tell you that you spent 16 hours this week on Instagram. Yes, we all need some downtime and we all need to unwind, but that is also a lot of lost time. So where can we add strings to our bow, add different attributes to our characteristics and our strengths without costing us too much? And here's one tip. I drove yesterday down up to Epsom for this meeting with this company, and I listened to a podcast all the way there, and it was just teaching me information that I never had before on that journey. So the tip is turn your vehicle or your mode of transport into a mobile university. If you're on the train, listen to a podcast, right? Don't you haven't got to play games on your phone or catch up on some sleep, but use opportunity, which is almost like dull time, to inform yourself and keep yourself informed. Yes, so turn your mode of transport into a mobile university.
I like that. Heard it here first.
Yeah,
I'll share that as a quote afterwards. That's a good one. You've come out with some good ones today. I really have. Oh, Jason, it's just been an absolute pleasure. It always is an absolute pleasure catching up with you. And
thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. We're really looking forward to watching this space with Kaleida and Jason, and how, as an entrepreneur, you carry on. Do you know, when I say trailblazer, I just imagine like there's this is going to be terrible for the environmentalists, but a field, and there's literally just this trail just being parted. Yeah. this is what you're doing in the industry.
Yeah, but look, that's the thing, right? I've taken something that has never been done before in the UK, and there are some companies now who are following on our footsteps because they understand what we're doing. They see it's the right thing to do. But we were 1 for 1 at one point in time, and that was because I was brave and I didn't have any fear. And it's gained me recognition as a thought leader in the space. And so, you just want to encourage everyone to just don't be fearless, because you've got so much potential inside you that's there ready to be unlocked. But fear is the one thing that holds you back. So I'm really pleased and thank you for the compliment to recognizing me as one of those trailblazers out there. We are doing something very special. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate that. And it puts a little bounce in my step now to kind of keep going again today. So thank you for that. We need encouragement as well. We're not infallible. So appreciate your recognition for that. Thank you.
Yeah, you are. It's visionary trailblazer, and I have so much admiration for you and support you 100%, as you know. We're at the top of our time, and everyone who's been listening, if you're going to listen back to the recording, this has been In the Spotlight, a special with Jason Roberts, CEO and founder of Kaleida. Thank you all. Until next time.
Thank you.